What's the value proposition? Why are you going to come work for me? Why are you going to buy from me? That's all about culture. And we can't really reach our strategy and get off that, kind of constant wheel without really having a whole team that understands what we stand for, what you expect, what your vision is, what you believe in, so that we're all going in the same direction.
Welcome to the Strategy with Jason podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Which then I see this infamous unicorn that we call culture.
Ooh.
But it doesn't always kind of seem like we love our buzzwords in our industry. I mean, culture seems to be one that's always kind of being a buzzword, and it's kind of this always kind of slightly out of reach. This unicorn that I need to try to kind of work towards, but I think with the real leaders, culture is a byproduct of them becoming intimate with their why and leading their company through whys. But I'd love to kind of get your take on how we generate, we maintain, and we continue to develop the culture.
Well, in culture, everyone has one.
Yes.
The question is it helping you reach your goals, attain your objectives, or is it blocking you?
Good point.
And culture can either be by default or by design. And, leaving it up to the people to create is a very risky endeavor. So, you really have to have some intention. You have to have, there's a lot of foundational elements that need to go into what does your culture look like. Some of it's going to happen naturally, but some of it we do have to design it and direct it and kind of shine the light on it. And that takes a ton of work. If I go in and renovating a culture, I'm going to look at what's working and where do we want to go? What do we want this to look like? And then, so many, as you said, it is kind of like that, kind of tagline in the industry. People are like, I want to fix my culture. And I'm like, do you really? Because that's not something I'm going to do in a month.
Yes, exactly.
Because it's a long game. And I was just talking, do you know Sherry Schultz? She's the head of HR at Walser. Mm-hmm. And she said, do you want to play rugby or do you want to play chess? And I just think that's a great way. Like, you can push culture, what you think, you can run around talking about it. You can put it on the wall. But chess is the long game, and it's very thoughtful and it's very intelligent. And, there's going to be some rugby in there, but we all enjoy a good push. But this is a very well-designed type of endeavor to go down, and it takes a lot of work, which is why I think a lot of times, as you said, people are like, it's over there. Like, I don't want to quite touch it, because a lot of it's uncovering some things that maybe we don't all want to face or deal with.
No, you're 100% right. It's long game, and I've seen that. I've seen that as a pattern, with many leaders and dealerships that do maintain a strong culture, is that they're playing for that long game. I tell a lot of people, because they ask me, like, what is it like owning a dealership, Jason? And I was like think of it like a marathon that never ends. Right?
Right.
There's no finish line, by the way.
No.
And there, every once in a while you might see the mirage of a finish line, but it is just simply that, it is a mirage. But to be able to maintain, running of a marathon, you have to find yourself a pace.
Yes.
And I think that's where we kind of get discouraged around building culture, because we feel like we can't maintain that type of pace. But, if I've never run a marathon, by the way, but I've talked to people that have run marathons. And,
good for them.
And it's all about a buildup. Like, you
Yes.
run one marathon, you get comfortable at a pace. And then you push yourself a little harder and you find another pace you're comfortable at. And then so on and so on and so on. And that's, I think, the way you ultimately kind of end up building a culture is by playing it that way. Your thoughts?
And I think that's when people say to me, do you really, they want to change culture. I'm like, do you really?
Yes,
because
exactly.
It is a marathon and it's a little bit every day. It's the people's mindsets, how to change, how we do things around here has to change, which is a lot of communication. It's a lot of accountability. It's a lot of setting standards of behavior.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times it's like, we go, all right, we're going to be very customer focused. One of our values is customers are number one. What does that mean? Because that means different things to different people. It's kind of like if I say, let's get a sandwich Are you talking like, a hoagie or a po' boy or a grilled cheese? So you have to really design the standards and expectations of behaviors, and then you have to really recognize and reward them when you see them. And that's why it really takes some time defining who am I, what's my value proposition. You have to hire to it, then you have to manage to it, then you have to reward to it. And then you have to relook at it all the time. And then your customers need to be, what's the value proposition? Why are you going to come work for me? Why are you going to buy from me? That's all about culture. And we can't really reach our strategy and get off that, kind of constant wheel without really having a whole team that understands what we stand for, what you expect, what your vision is, what you believe in, so that we're all going in the same direction.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy with Jason podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcasting.